Breaking news: Bryan Kohberger's family's emotional response in court, a full account of the reactions. In an emotional and tense courtroom, the family of Bryan Kohberger, the main suspect in the tragic Idaho murders, was present to witness the latest developments in the high-profile case. As the court proceedings unfolded, all eyes were on Kohberger, his defense team, and most notably, his family, particularly his mother and sister, whose reactions offered a deeply human insight into the familial struggle behind the case. The courtroom, filled with attorneys, media representatives, and court officials, was a place of intense scrutiny. Kohberger's mother, sitting silently in the gallery, was unable to mask the strain on her face as the brutal details of the crime were presented. At moments, her face was a mask of grief, and her eyes glistened with unshed tears as she tried to maintain her composure. Her heart-wrenching response to the case highlighted the emotional weight of being a mother in such an unimaginable circumstance. Kohberger's sister sat beside their mother, her gaze fixed downward as if avoiding the gaze of the public and the media. The silence in the room was palpable, and it was clear that both family members were wrestling with the emotions of being caught in the middle of such an agonizing legal ordeal. The courtroom was not just a site for legal discourse, but a stage for the raw emotional experience of a family struggling to come to terms with the gravity of the situation. The case, which has captivated national attention, revolves around the murders of 4 students at the University of Idaho. The victims, tragically, lost their lives in a brutal stabbing. The horror of the crime has shocked the country, and the prosecution's argument aims to shed light on how Bryan Kohberger allegedly committed this horrendous act. As these accusations and evidence were laid bare in the courtroom, Kohberger's family could only listen, absorbed in the weight of the tragedy. Despite the chilling nature of the case, one cannot help but consider the personal toll that such accusations take on the family members of the accused. Kohberger's mother, who had been supportive of her son throughout his life, struggled to keep her composure as she looked at her son sitting at the defense table. She appeared visibly upset, her face tense with the strain of having her child involved in such a horrific incident. It is often said that family members, regardless of the situation, are torn between their loyalty and love for their loved ones and the terrible reality that they may be connected to something deeply tragic. Kohberger's sister also seemed lost in thought as she sat quietly beside their mother. It was almost as if she was in disbelief, unable to process the enormity of the situation she found herself in. She did not speak publicly, but her physical reactions spoke volumes. The agony of seeing her brother accused of such a crime must have been overwhelming. It is important to recognize that, despite the public's reaction to the case, for families of the accused, this situation is a personal nightmare that unfolds in the public eye. The media's spotlight shines brightly, but behind the scenes, the emotional toll it takes on families is often overlooked. As the trial continued, the Kohberger family's reactions were a poignant reminder of the human side of these tragic stories. While the focus of the media and the prosecution was on the details of the crime and the legal proceedings, it was impossible to ignore the emotional weight borne by those closest to the accused. The tears and the quiet despair from Kohberger's mother and sister were visible reminders of the heartbreak experienced by families caught in the crossfire of such highly publicized cases. It is essential to note that families of accused individuals often face an impossible dilemma. They may still love their family member, yet must grapple with the possibility of their involvement in a horrific crime. For Kohberger's family, this must be an excruciating emotional journey. The question remains, how do you continue to support someone you love, while also facing the grim possibility that they may have been involved in something so terrible? Throughout the court proceedings, it became clear that Kohberger's family was not just witnessing the trial, they were living through it, emotionally overwhelmed by the details being presented. Every new revelation seemed to add more pressure, not just on Kohberger himself but on his family as well. The impact of a case like this stretches far beyond the accused, it reaches into the lives of their loved ones, who often suffer in silence. While Kohberger's legal team made their arguments in defense of their client, the atmosphere in the courtroom was often tense. The prosecution presented their case with a focus on the brutal nature of the crime and the evidence pointing to Kohberger as the primary suspect. But no matter the legal arguments, it was impossible to ignore the human element at play. Kohberger's family had to listen to the horrifying details of the murders, knowing that their relative was at the heart of it all. Family members like Kohberger's mother and sister may never have imagined finding themselves in this position. The emotional strain was evident in their facial expressions and body language. In moments like these, it's important to remember that behind every case, behind every news headline, there are real people involved, and real lives being affected. Kohberger's family, despite their emotional distress, remained in the courtroom, their presence a testament to the complicated feelings they likely have towards the situation. As the trial moves forward, the Kohberger family will continue to navigate this incredibly challenging moment. They will have to reconcile the love they feel for their son and brother with the possibility that he is responsible for one of the most devastating crimes in recent memory. Their journey, filled with grief, confusion, and heartache, will likely continue to play out in the public eye, with every detail analyzed by the media and the public. For now, we continue to follow this case closely, and we will keep you updated with every new development. Stay tuned as we bring you more details on Bryan Kohberger, his family's reactions, and what comes next in the courtroom.